Good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for our 2:15 student panel session. My name is Francine Francis. I am the Community Inclusion and Student Empowerment Coordinator here at SUNY Plattsburgh, and I'm joined today by three wonderful panelists, all with an eclectic of experiences here within the SUNY Plattsburgh community. So I'd like to take a moment to have each of our lovely panelists go ahead and introduce themselves. And with that, share with us what's been your favorite quarantine snacks.
Yeah, my name is Dakota. I'm a junior at Plattsburgh. I'm a social work major with a minor in photography from Niskayuna, New York, about 20 minutes outside of Albany. And I think like tortilla chips and salsa is usually my go-to. It's pretty great. Can't really go wrong there.
Hi, I'm Jared. I'm a senior here at Plattsburgh. I'm a triple major in digital media, TV, video production, and audio radio production. And I'm from Palatine Bridge, New York. And I think a good quarantine snack, I wouldn't even call it a snack, but I count it as one. I like chicken wings. It's my favorite food no matter what. So you can't go wrong with those, you know?
Hi everyone, my name is Elena. I'm from Saudi Arabia and I'm a junior here at Plattsburgh and I'm majoring in medical technology with a minor in chemistry. And my favorite snack has to be those it's chocolate chip cookies. You know, like the dough that you can get pre-made at Walmart and stuff. That thing is addicting. I just keep eating I keep baking them and eating them. I need to stop.
Thank you. So we'll just go ahead and jump right on in. Can you tell us about what clubs and activities are available to students on campus? And if you're involved with anything, can you share what those are?
Yeah, so personally, I'm involved with photography club as well as social work club. I'm also involved in Greek life. And yeah, there's like really a ton of options on campus. Anything you could really think of. It's hard to even list them off because like there's so many different ways. We have academic clubs. Just about every major has a club connected to it, and then there are some more broad ones. And then there's also like artistic clubs. There's theater clubs. There's sports clubs. We have all sorts of different things. And if there isn't a club and you wish that there was, there's a really good chance that there's other people who also wish that there was, and you can start it. So yeah, it's really easy to get involved.
Yeah, the clubs I'm involved with. I'm involved with the Plattsburgh State Television Club. Basically, it's like a crew that records other students, but they want to be on like television or whatever. You could record them, or whatever, and you make your own TV show. I'm a part of the radio club on campus. There's two of them. There's there's a WARP, and then there's the Quake, and you can be a part of both of those. One is a class, one is an actual club that you could be a part of. I'm also a part of Greek life, just like Dakota is, and I'm also a community advocate. It's not so much a club, but it's more of a student involvement thing where you get students involved. That's what I do. I was a part of the a cappella group on campus. It was really fun, and yeah.
I work as a secretary and event planner for South Asian Student Association. I just kind of joined them because I have a South Asian background, so I wanted to kind of meet people from like my country, my background, and we have a lot of those kind of clubs on campus where you can meet people from where you come from. I also still am with Pre-Med Association. It's a great sort of the pre-health pre-med association is a great organization to join if you're planning on either going to med school, dental school, pharmacy school, basically any pre-health track. I definitely recommend joining them. They provide test preparation, interview preparation, that kind of stuff. I also work as a staff writer for Cardinal Points, and I've only been doing that for about one semester, but I'm definitely continuing with them. I work as their news staff writer, so I often, every week, basically, I get an assignment and I meet new people, I interview them, I get to go to a bunch of different events and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm someone who's always really enjoyed writing, so it was a great way to kind of incorporate that into my kind of schedule. And one of the funnest things I've done probably is worked as a news anchor for Plattsburgh State Television. So basically, one of my friends, he was a senior at the time, and he was the one who Plattsburgh State Television. I believe it's like a class as well. I think Jared could probably, but yeah, that's offered to media students, and he needed a news anchor. So I kind of worked with them, and it was a lot of fun. Like all the camera lights, actions. It was definitely an experience. And what else? I've worked for there's a club on campus called GG, which is gender, which basically works for gender inequality and women issues and things like that. And I've just been always passionate about that. So I joined them, and I've been with them for like about 3 semesters now. And they used to do a lot of trips to the UN. I don't know if it will happen this fall with everything that's going on, but it's definitely something that they have done in the past, and they're still planning on doing in the future. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely recommend joining them.
Thank you. So one of our first questions posted in the chat is there anyone who has information in regards to the communications and broadcast programs? Jared, I think.
Hi. So I could sit here for hours and talk to you about the program here at Plattsburgh. I'm going to give you a rundown. I guess since you want information about the communication and progress programs, let's start with I don't know what particular major you are, Jack. But I'll start with broadcast journalism. So that is basically like local television news, and you'll be working a lot with a professor named Peter Ensel. Most likely, the chairperson for that department is Timothy Kluke. You probably have been in contact with him from my best guess. Basically, what our program provides, no matter if you're TV, video, audio, radio, digital media, communications, or broadcast journalism, we have a lot of things to offer. Number one, we have our own radio station on campus. We have our own television station on campus. Also with that, if you're more of an editor, we have editing suites for you. We have audio editing suites, separate rooms. We have our own, we have, again, as I said before, we have 2 separate radio stations. We have WARP and then the Quake. And that's just the stuff you can do outside of class, or you can do in class. Other teachers and stuff, the teachers are really cool. If I had a specific question, that would help. But that's kind of the broad answer to that question about what we have to offer. Is we have a lot of things to offer in class and out of class.
Awesome, thank you. Our second question posted in the chat is about the dining halls. Are you going to be able to sit down and eat like in Clinton, or are you still going to be able to go to the Sundowner and eat there? Is the Sundowner still going to be open late was also a question posed. So I'll take this one. So with the Sundowner, the chairs have been removed just in an effort to make sure that folks are not convening together to spread COVID in any way, shape, or form. The campus is taking protective measures to make sure that folks are okay during this time. But in Clinton, there will be an opportunity to sit down and eat. Whether or not the Downer is still going to be open late, I am uncertain. I actually don't have the answer to that, but you can certainly reach out to admissions and see if they can offer some clarity on that. A lot of, just to throw that out there, the school and the campus is taking as many preventative measures as possible to make sure that all of our students, staff, and faculty members are indeed protected. And so that includes wearing masks and things of that nature. Question for our panelists, will you need a car to get around on campus? And are you allowed to have a car on campus as a first-year student?
You are allowed to have a car on campus as a first-year student. I don't think it's entirely necessary. So I had a car my second semester, but I didn't my first semester, and that was sort of on purpose. I think it's really good to sort of get accustomed to the campus and like the area around it, and it's really easy to get to different parts of Plattsburgh even without a car. During the year, we have on-campus shuttle system that runs every 30 minutes outside of the ACC, and that runs pretty much all day from I think 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something roughly around that. And that'll drop you off at like the Walmart, the mall, Price Chopper, Market 32, and then there's one other stop too. And then it'll bring you right back to campus. So I used that a lot my first semester. We also have we have Uber, we have Lyft. We also have Amtrak right in Plattsburgh, so that's extremely convenient for getting to and from. Although with the Canadian border being closed, I'm not sure if it's running right now, but I'm sure once the border's back open, everything will be, because it goes to Montreal, and that's really the biggest stop for it. But other than that, for like winter breaks and long breaks, we usually have like a bus system that the school will rent out a bus, and then for a pretty reasonable fee, you can sign up, and it'll take you. I think it has stops in the Capital District, in the Hudson Valley, and then New York City, and even Long Island. So it's really easy to get to and from campus, whether you're trying to go home or you're trying to just kind of get around Plattsburgh. We're also only like a 5-minute walk from downtown. So there are certain advantages to having a car, but it's definitely not a necessity.
Thank you. So I guess I'll ask of you folks, what was your first day like here?
I can start with that. So, um, my first day of classes, what I did was a day before that, I kind of walked around campus to get a feel of it and also to see where all of my classes were. Our campus isn't super big, but it's still important to kind of walk around, see where everything is, you know, familiarize yourself with it. And the professors won't be like mad at you or anything if you're late on the first day, because they do, especially as freshmen, they do know that, like, you know, you're kind of new and you're kind of getting adjusted, but it's just a good idea to kind of know where everything is. And other than that, it was pretty chill. You know, I went to my class, and my dad was still here because he came to drop me off. So it was a little strange because I had to go pick him up and then take him to the dining hall, since he seemed to really enjoy the dining halls. But yeah, it was very cold. I remember, because it was the spring semester, and it was like 20. It was like the late January, so there was a lot of snow and stuff. And I was still getting kind of used to walking around in that much snow. But one of the coolest things I noticed is that we have a red brick pathway which is heated, and it connects some of the main buildings of our campus. So it kind of connects the Feinberg Library, Yoakum Hall, where a lot of lectures are held, to Hudson Hall, which is the science building. And since it's heated, all the snow had kind of melted and it had been pushed to the side, so I could easily walk, which I thought was really which was really convenient, you know. So it was just a good day in general. Cold but manageable, and you know, I knew what my classes were and everything, and it was really pretty. I remember one of the things that I love about Plattsburgh is it's very scenic, even in like the winter. It looks like a winter wonderland. So I was just like stopping and taking pictures sometimes. But yeah, it's a beautiful place.
I think one thing I realized the first day of Plattsburgh is that there's so much to do and so little time your first day. You could literally go out to eat, or you could go in your room, or you could try to find where all your classes are going to be, and you have so little time. So like it's kind of overwhelming, but I will say that you will be fine. It's a good overwhelming. Like, you won't be stressed out by it. You're like, wow, I have a lot to do, or I have a lot I can do, and I'm excited to see. And when I say a lot to do, I also mean outside of campus as well. Like, we have malls. Like, we have 2 movie theaters outside, maybe 10 minutes away. Um, not the one by the mall, but there's another one like 10 minutes away. But there's so much to do. Like, there's a bowling alley. I don't know if we can still do that with COVID right now, but like in general, there's a lot to do in this town, and it's all in your palm. So.
Yeah, going off what Elena said, I think it's a great idea and what Jared touched on was going to each of your classes and just making sure you know where the room is. That'll also really help you get like familiar with the campus. And like, it can definitely be confusing getting around those first couple of days. And I mentioned this in the first presentation, but I think one really cool thing to sort of like a pro tip is if you use Snapchat, the map on Snapchat is actually the only map that labels every building on campus, which is extremely useful. So if you're looking for like Ward Hall and you don't know exactly where it is, if you open up, for whatever reason, it's only the map on Snapchat, Google Maps and Apple Maps doesn't have it. But yeah, so that's just something nice to know if you're looking for a specific building and stuff like that. But the more you walk around campus and stuff, the more you're gonna understand where everything is, and it probably only takes like a week or so to really have it down pat. But yeah.
Thank you. So another question that was posted in the chat is, how would you rate the food on campus?
I guess I'll let you go.
I'll give it like a good 8.5 out of 10, because we have and I'm a picky eater, so you know, like if it's that good for rating from me, I would say it's pretty good. We have a lot of different options. That's the thing. It really depends on where you're going. The biggest dining hall, Clinton Dining Hall, is like a buffet style kind of place, And they also take into account any kind of dietary restrictions that you might have. So like if you're vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, halal, that kind of stuff, you can always let them know, and they'll kind of cater to it. Clinton has like a kiosk where you order and then you go pick up your food, and there's a lot of different stations, so you can get like pre-made, you can get like custom made pastas, you can get pizzas, you can get burgers, you can get Asian style food, pancakes. They have like every cereal that you can imagine over there. You have like lots of drinks. So Clinton's a great place to go. I know a lot of freshmen really like going there, especially. Aside from Clinton, we have the other main dining hall is called the Sundowner. And the Sundowner is more like, I feel like it's more, you can just go pick up your food and leave rather than like sit and eat over there. And once again, they have a lot of different, stations there. The biggest, I think the best one over there is the Halal Shack, which I know is a really popular food place in New York City. So if you're from the city, you probably already know it. But Halal Shack's great. We have a Subway. We have a place called Griddles/Sonu's. Griddles serves more breakfast foods, so like pancakes, waffles, egg sandwiches, that kind of stuff. And then kind of converts at night into a place called Sonu's, which is kind of like a Chipotle Mexican style bar, and you can grill, and you can go over there and get like burrito bowls and that kind of stuff. We have a Subway, we have Tim Hortons, which is Canadian Starbucks essentially. It's really good. We have another sandwich place called Little Al's, and I actually like Little Al's a bit more than Subway. It's just like a little far off at the end of campus, but it's a great place. Once again, there's just a lot of diversity. You find a lot of different food. You don't have to get bored of eating the same thing over and over. Oh, we also have this dessert kind of place called Scoops. It's right next to Campus Express, which is like a little grocery store that we have on our campus. And Scoops is great. You can get like custom made milkshakes and cakes and everything. And I blame it for the freshman 15 because I definitely gained 15 pounds from it. So if you have a sweet tooth, go to Scoops, I guess.
I give it, all right. So I think I'm gonna give it a little bit lower. I'm gonna give it like a 7.7. But it goes up to an 8.5 only because of how much food options there are. Like I'm like saying, like, if you're not interested in a cheeseburger, well, there's probably some like the Halal Shack, which is a completely different 180 of what I would have wanted to have anyway. So like just the availability of different types of food provided, that kind of makes up for the taste.
Yeah, I think you both completely covered it. I think my biggest recommendation was just to try to shake it up every once in a while. I have a tendency to go to Subway 6-7 times a week, and it definitely gets old after a while. So as long as you keep like shaking it up and going to different places, it can stay fresh, and the food will stay good.
Thank you. So another one of our questions are, what proportion of upper class students can live on campus after 2 years? And then followed by, can transfers or sophomores have cars on campus? I'll take this one. So yes, sophomore student, there is no class restriction on who can have a car on campus. And first year, traditionally, now this is now being changed because of COVID, traditionally, students would have to live on campus for the first 2 years of their time being here. Sorry, I've got motion censored lights in my office. So what ends up happening is our first year students are required to live here for the first 2 years of their academic experience, and then they have the wherewithal to leave and live off campus for the rest of their education. Because of COVID, that has now changed because students now have the option to stay home based on whether or not they have classes all online, and this will not be held against them going in the future. And one of the things what's the second part of this question? We do have a building that's specific to upperclassmen housing. We have several buildings actually that are specific to upperclassmen housing. So we'll have McDonough, for example. McDonough Hall primarily has upperclassmen students. It's primarily junior, senior. And we do have a building, Kent Hall, that is exclusively upperclassmen housing. So you have to be junior, senior level status to be able to live in Kent Hall. And it has the accommodations to make it more so apartment style living for folks who are interested in doing so. It's designed to be a little bit more independent, and it's designed to make students feel like they're living off campus, but with the amenities for convenience of living within a residence hall. So we'll transition into our next question, and that question is along the lines of how supportive is Plattsburgh in progressivism as it pertains to BLM, LGBTQIA, et cetera, et cetera.
I can answer a little bit with that. So we have a Title IX office, and it's in a kind of space called the Hub, which is honoring unity, and I forgot what the B stands for, but
Building.
basically, yep. So we, it's a very inclusive and it's a very accepting space, basically, and it's also home to Radius, which kind of supports with the LGBTQ community. I personally identify as bisexual, and when I came here, I came from a community that really does not accept that, and it was really hard for me to kind of accept it too, and I only kind of accepted it with their help and by speaking to them and meeting other people as well. And it was really nice to kind of meet other people who were in the same boat as me, and who kind of taught me that everything was fine. And we had like I believe I wasn't here, but we had an incident about like 4 years ago on campus about something, and it was handled really well. A lot of my friends from that time told me that they saw everybody kind of come together for this incident, and it showed like how supportive the campus community is. This spring semester, we had a good event called Change Week, and I called the event for Cardinal Points, so I had to kind of attend it and everything. And we basically had a lot of different students show up, and they talked about what kind of changes they would like to see in our community. And faculty was there, staff was there, administration was there, and they really listened to student input. And we also had a follow-up event to Change Week, which kind of showed me that they weren't just listening to us, they genuinely wanted our opinion, and they genuinely wanted to like implement it into our school's administration and to bring about an actual change. So yeah, it's a very inclusive environment. Our school takes any kind of cases of racism or anything like that very, very seriously. You can report them anonymously as well if you're not comfortable filing a full report or anything like that. So yep, it's a very comfortable environment.
Yeah, I think going off of that, there's also a lot of different clubs and organizations that are completely dedicated to things such as LGBT inclusion or diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as cultural clubs and organizations such as Black Onyx, and there's a few others. I can't remember the names of them right off the top of my head, but they're all about like, one of the really my favorite things about SUNY Plattsburgh is just how diverse it is. We talked about it a little bit before, but like, especially growing up in like upstate New York, a very not very diverse area of the country, we get a lot of students from both New York City as well as international students. And I think the exchange of culture is very, very prominent on campus, and it's a very great thing. We have like cultural nights. We have like, I forget, the Night of Nations, which was also Elena brought up earlier, which is a really great event where you see many different students from many different backgrounds like taking part in like their culture, and like there's sort of that exchange of like foods and clothing and stuff like that. It's really great to see, and I think it's really proactive in the community as well. I think having the campus in Plattsburgh introduces a lot of different things to the community and like the local people in the community, and I think it has a great effect all around.
Thank you. So we'll keep going right along. And one of the next questions are, what other schools did you apply to, and why did you end up choosing Plattsburgh?
I applied to Oswego and Oneonta and Plattsburgh. I ended up just choosing Plattsburgh because it was farther. It was the farthest from my house, and also it was a good change of scenery. Also, the communication program I went there for, I liked it. I saw what they had there, and I was interested in it. And I'm glad I definitely chose the college. So that was my story.
Yeah, I applied to a handful of different SUNYs, Buffalo, Albany, a couple of private schools, but for the most part, I chose Plattsburgh. There were really two main reasons. The first one being the social work program in general. Like, not many schools have an undergrad social work program, so that was definitely attractive. But also just like the campus as a whole. I feel like it's a really great size, both like geographically and as far as how many people there are. It's like, I always say, it's the perfect size because you see familiar faces every day, but you also see new faces every day. And you're never just like a piece of, or you're never a number on a piece of paper to a professor. It's like small enough that your professors will get to know you. They'll know your name by like the second week or so. And you can like have actual like conversations with them where it's like, or I feel like at bigger schools, like the connection between professor and student isn't really there as much. It's more you're just like, you might as well just be watching like a documentary, like have that sort of like disconnect. But at Plattsburgh, there's much more connection between the staff and the students. And it's also just like beautiful up here. We're so close to the Adirondacks. We're so close to Canada. Definitely recommend getting your enhanced ID or passport or visa if you need it, and checking out Montreal at some point when the borders reopened, because it's a beautiful city and it's a completely different culture. They speak French up there. They speak English too. I don't speak a lick of French, and I've been able to go up, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But it's a really great time, and I highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah, I ended up choosing Plattsburgh because they had a great biomedical sciences / medical technology program. When I got accepted, they kind of asked me, the admissions office reached out and they were like, would you like to speak to some of the students who are already in the program? And I spoke to them and they were all, very satisfied with it. They were all doing very well after graduating even. And they also provided a really good financial aid package, which definitely sealed the deal for me because I didn't qualify for state aid. So that definitely helped a lot. And also, I feel like I didn't want to go to a super big state college straight away, just because I knew I was already adjusting to a whole new country, a whole new culture and everything, and I wanted to like start off a bit slow. So I felt like Plattsburgh would be like a good way to kind of like ease into everything, and then maybe for grad school I'd go somewhere like a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. On the academic side of things, what would you recommend to students in terms of resources available for them in uh, terms of looking to get books?
I would definitely go to the library. A lot of the time, like, professors understand that like textbooks are hard to get a hold of, and a lot of the time professors will actually keep their books on reservation in the library. So all you have to do is go up to the desk, tell them what class you're in, and the book that you need, and you can actually rent it. You need to, for the most part, keep it in the library because there could be other students that are trying to utilize it. But for the most, like, that's usually all you really need anyway, and that's just a great alternative to having to get books. And also, there's just a lot of resources within the library, including the Student Learning Center, which is on the first floor of the library, and it's our on-campus tutoring center. It's completely free for student use, and we have, I think it's over 100 different classes that are offered, that tutors are offered for. And the way that that works is you can schedule an appointment online, or if it's something like math or English related, you can usually walk into like walk-in hours. And if you do really well in a class, you can actually become a tutor on campus, and this is a paid position by the school. So if you get like, I think it's a 3.0 or higher or a B or higher, and you get a professor recommendation, that can be a really cool on-campus job for you.
Thank you. Um, let's see. What piece of advice would you give to incoming students about how to overcome the first 2 weeks of school?
I would tell you to kind of be open to different things, things even that you hadn't really imagined yourself doing. Definitely go to, different club meetings, get out of your room, definitely. I feel like a lot of freshmen have a thing where they like to kind of stay in their rooms for some reason. So if your friends are inviting you to, like, even if you just meet someone, they're like, hey, let's grab a bite to eat, just go with them, kind of get yourself out of there and try to meet new people and, you know, say yes to different things that you're comfortable with, go to different clubs, club meetings and stuff, go to different events. During the first 2 weeks, there's a lot of different events. Like there also, I remember there was a thing called open mic night, and it was right in front of Subway and stuff. And a couple of my friends invited, and I was like, no way, like I do not sing and I do not get on stage. But I didn't have to do any of that. I just kind of sat and watched it. It was still a lot of, you know, it was very entertaining. So go to different events that they want you to go to. I remember one time we had like a comedy night. The school kind of brought in a comedian, and I didn't really watch that stuff before, but one of my friends really wanted to go, so I went with him, and it was a lot of fun. You know, it was something I didn't think I'd enjoy, but I did. I started going to like theater shows with my friends because one of them was a theater freak, and she really enjoyed that kind of stuff. And I, you know, once again, I started enjoying that too. So just try new things. You know, you won't really get the time to try this stuff later on. We have, if you're into like sports and stuff, we have a lot of like yoga classes, kickboxing classes, that kind of stuff. And you know, it's fun to try out. So, you know, definitely try new things and, you know, step out of your comfort zone, because this is the only time you will get to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the number one thing is to walk out of your room, make sure you're not trapped in there. Talk to whoever you can, try to meet friends. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine also. At least for me, for my own story, like the people I met the first 2 weeks in college, like only 2 or 3 or 4 have stayed close to me in contact. So like, yes, meet a lot of people, but don't feel bad if it is kind of rough, because it is for some people, and that's just kind of the truth of it. Especially with COVID now, people are social distancing, and that might become a problem too. So just remember that you're doing good and you're doing fine, and yeah, and make sure to get out of your room. What kind of, because of COVID, I'm not so sure how that's going to work, but try to get out of your room.
Awesome, thank you. So with that, while we have a few minutes left, can you talk a little bit about the job opportunities that are available for students on campus?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different campus jobs available. The easiest way to find what jobs are available is through Handshake, which is our sort of online job posting site. You can access it right through My Plattsburgh. Once you get like your login and stuff, it'll be right on the top bar next to like Moodle and other stuff like that. I think it's the last one. There's jobs, I think they're talking about like, it's going to be a little bit different this semester. There might not be as many available, but like, I think they're working to try to create more. But like, for instance, I've had a couple of different jobs. Right now, obviously this is me working at admissions. I also had a job in the emergency management my first semester here, just doing like running around campus for them. Most departments have like jobs like that, like just sort of assistants. A lot of the time it ends up just running around campus, delivering notes and stuff like that, copying papers, just anything like that. And those can really be like good opportunities and sort of connect you to departments and stuff like that. So just keep your eyes open and stay up to date on Handshake.
Thank you. So one of the opportunities that are available for students is the opportunity to become a CA, which is a community advocate, which is all formerly known as a resident assistant. So folks would have the opportunity to interview, go through a series of interviews, and then be offered the opportunity. Now, this opportunity does come with the coverage of housing and a portion of a meal plan taken care of. So that is also an opportunity that is available to students as well. Speaking of residence halls, what items are not allowed in residence halls? Jared, I'll have you go ahead and start off with this.
All right, I'll take out the obvious ones right away. Nothing that could burn down the building. So that includes e-cigarettes. I'm trying to think things that are considered fire hazards, things that are hanging from your ceiling. So for instance, if you have a tapestry hanging from your light, that's not allowed. It can basically burn down the building for whatever reason. If for some reason a ball blew and then bam, everything's on fire, and we're not gonna have a good time. So that's like a thing that's not allowed. Before this new rule came in, only one refrigerator was allowed in the dorms, but now 2 refrigerators are allowed in the dorms at all times. You don't have to worry about sharing a fridge with your roommate. Fran, we're talking about things that aren't allowed in the rooms, correct? Unless you have a doctor's written note, air conditioning is not allowed in your room. Trying to think of what else isn't allowed. Microwaves, no microwaves. Uh, microwaves are only in the kitchen areas, depending on where you're living. If you're living in a suite, it'll be in your shared kitchen, or if you're living in a place like McDonough or Wilson, it'll be on your specific floor. But yeah, I think I covered a decent amount, Fran. Is there anything else you can think of that's like major?
The general rule of thumb here is anything that has an open flame area you shouldn't bring with you, or an open heating area you shouldn't bring with you. A Mr. Coffee, I believe that is a brand of coffee filters where it heats the bottom of it, and then you pour out your coffee. That's not allowed, but Keurigs are, because they have an internal heating system. So you want to take not bring items like that with you. And I guess while we're on the topic of items that students shouldn't bring with them, let's talk about what items students typically forget to bring with them that they should bring with them. So what are your suggestions on that?
I think the biggest thing that gets forgotten, because everyone's so hung up on it being freezing here, is they forget to bring a fan. I actually usually would have 2 fans in my room. I like to have one coming in and one blowing out, so it just kind of keeps the air moving. But that's definitely something that gets forgotten a lot. Other than that, maybe like mattress pads, if you like a softer mattress. The nice thing about being where we are is we're so close to like Walmart and Target that you can just sort of run out and get it if you need it, but it's easier to just have it when you come in. I'm trying to think of other things. A pair of boots, that always gets mentioned. It does get snowy here and it gets very wet, and nobody likes wet socks. So I would definitely bring nice rubber boots. Other than that, I think people usually tend to overpack rather than underpack. Although I've always sort of been like a minimalist, so I don't pack too much. But I would just say like you probably don't need 70 t-shirts or 20 pairs of shoes. It's gonna just end up being clutter and stuff like that. So just sort of like kind of bring it back a little bit and think practically. You're going to be living in probably a shared space that's I mean, they're pretty decent sized rooms for college, but it's still a shared dorm, so you don't want to be too cluttered.
Very good point. Especially if you're living in Whiteface or Wilson as freshmen, like those rooms, they're not like upperclassmen rooms that are bigger and wider. They may be a little bit longer, but they're not that wide. So try not to overpack, just like Dakota said.
Also, don't forget cleaning supplies. For some reason, I forgot about cleaning supplies and I had to run to Walmart to get them. I really don't know how anybody would forget that, but get some Clorox wipes, get some, I know the janitor's closet definitely has like a broom and that, that kind of stuff, but sometimes they're locked and sometimes I couldn't like get access to it. So get like a small, like sweeper or something like that. So you can like brush the floor or something and clean your room. And yeah, with COVID and stuff, obviously have like your Clorox wipes, your disinfectant and stuff. But yeah, definitely don't forget the cleaning supplies.
Thank you. And just to add a little bit onto that, bathrooms are cleaned daily in the residence halls, but there are other, again, as Alina mentioned, there are brooms and stuff such available for students to have access to should they need to sweep out their rooms or something like that. The final question that I have for you folks is, what's the one thing you wish you knew before you came?
Always wish I had been a little bit better about like advocating for myself and watching out for myself and just sort of making sure I'm doing what I need to do. I don't know if that's as specific, but like just it takes a little bit of time to get used to college and used to this sort of, it's very different than high school, even like the education part of it. I find there's a lot less time in the classroom and a lot more time that you're responsible for. So just making sure that you're kind of getting to the library and doing everything you need to do, and understanding the importance of it. But it definitely unfortunately, sometimes it takes stumbling a little bit to fully grasp that. But as long as you know that like everything in the end is probably everything's going to be fine. It's just like getting to that place where you feel comfortable as a student and becoming consistent as far as like staying on top of things and like getting work done on your own.
I wish I got involved sooner. I think there's so much stuff that you can do on campus that I felt like I wasted a good amount of time not doing the things I wanted to do on campus. For example, like becoming a community advocate. That was something that I wanted to do my freshman year. When I walked into my dorm, I saw my RA, or now known as a CA, right there, and we had a good conversation. I'm like, I want to become what you are. He's like, well, you can next year. So I didn't end up doing that, though. It took me an extra year to even consider becoming a community advocate. So that's one of the things that, like, if you want to do something in college, like, do it now. Like, do it as soon as you can, and don't spend time thinking about it, because the more time you spend thinking about it, the more time you're wasting. So if you have a thought, do it. And this may sound cliche, but like, follow your dreams.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me was definitely time management. It's just like college has come with a lot of distractions. There's always something going on, and I think you need to learn how to say no to some things. You know, sometimes when you just kind of have to study and you can't really, go somewhere. But definitely, yeah, managing your time, because it's very different from high school. Because in high school you had your parents kind of after you, your teachers and stuff after you if you didn't submit something. But in college you're pretty much on your own. No professor's going to come after you if you don't submit an assignment. It's just not going to show up on your transcript. Like, obviously it will show up at the end of the semester that you didn't submit something, it's affecting your grade, but they won't tell you. So you kind of have to, you're very much responsible for yourself. And just kind of, there's a lot of growing up, I guess, you have to do when you come to college.
All right, thank you. We have a little bit of time left. So what was one of the biggest lessons you've learned since being here?
That's really hard. I think just recognizing that like everybody's sort of in the same position is really important. I think that's what helped me sort of like talk to people the easiest. Is like I always was like nervous that like, oh, I was bothering this person, or like, oh, why would they want to talk to me? But then like if you think about it, like every single person on campus is also on campus and also in college and also trying to like figure stuff out. So like the worst thing anybody could ever do is just like say no, and that's not too bad. So I think that's I yeah, that's a really good question though.
My connection's a little unstable, but I just want to make sure I heard the question right. You said the biggest lesson I've learned. Good. Okay. Um, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that it's okay to fail. And that goes toward academic wise, or that goes just toward like personal fulfillment. I think it's important to be able to accept defeat, but remember that you have to get up and you have to continue fighting. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, you have to withdraw from a class or you get a failing grade. That doesn't mean that your academic career is over. That means you get up and you continue working as hard as you can. And if you do, there's no reason that you should fail as long as you work as hard as you can. And that's what I had to learn. Like, I even withdrew from a class once, but my GPA went up higher because of that. So like, just don't give up, and like, you're going to do fine.
Yeah, and I think for me it was that's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to like go to professors and go to office hours. It's something that I think a lot of us have anxiety about. We don't really like asking for help. We're admitting that we need help, but those resources are available to you. We have a learning center full of tutors and academic coaches who can help you pinpoint what study style works for you and everything. So if you're struggling, all you really have to do is ask for help, and they will help is everywhere in college, and you've already paid for it as well, so like, why not make use of it? So yeah, I guess just being more open to asking for help, I guess.
All right, thank you all so very much. We'd like to thank you for joining us today for our student panel. The next and final student panel will be at 3:15, and we are looking forward to seeing you then. If this is your last time joining us, we would like to say thank you, and we hope to see you in the fall. Have a great day.